You can see that the shallots are still in the same place as they were months ago. They're growing on nicely. They're getting a bit weedy now, so the weeds need to be taken out. In a couple of weeks' time they'll be moved further down the garden next to the polytunnel, which is where they'll finish their growing season. This is the runner bean seeds that we sowed last week. As you can see, the compost just starting to crack where they're breaking the surface. These are a couple of Burpler's Tasty Green Cucumbers. They're coming along nicely, but they'll need potting up into a bigger pot in the next couple of days. These are some cauliflower seedlings here, our usual varieties, Boris, Cornell and Raleigh, and there's some Marathon broccoli as well, and then across in the separate seed tray is some little gem lettuce. We're just coming up to the carrot beds now. These have been turned over for this year and they'll be cored during this week, and then the carrots sown probably next weekend. Here we are in the unheated greenhouse down the garden, although this is actually the place where it's the best location for young plants to grow, we find. So this is where most things get put before they're hardened off to go out in the garden. So we've got some little French marigolds here, and then moving on to our tomato plants. You've got a tray of early beetroot, which will be transplanted into the garden, and you've also got some carrots further back. Got onions in the white trays across the back there, some little gem lettuce in the foreground, and you've got some more onions coming along now. Further down we've got the herbs. So we've got some parsley in this tray here. And then towards the end we've got some more leek plants, and then some geraniums here which we'll put in the flower bed later on. These are under 250 gram onions, which we've spoken about on the forum before. They're the ones that stood in the tunnel with no heat or light or anything over the winter, and then we potted them up into these larger pots a couple of weeks ago. They seem to be progressing nicely, but we'll see how they turn out. The other end of the tunnel we've got the eating leeks. So we've got Lancaster, Autumn Neptune and Snowdon. These will stay in their pots for a little while, and then we'll just use a dibber to place these in the garden, and then we'll be able to eat them over the winter. These potatoes that you can see here are the early ones that we put into pots in the middle of February, but as you can see their foliage is starting to flop a little bit because we think they're getting a little bit hot in the tunnel now because it's quite warm here today. And then right in the corner we've got a few little gem lettuce. So these have just been planted in here to protect them a little bit from the outside and the weather. So we get a few earlier little gem lettuce. This is the little greenhouse where we've made beds to grow early short carrots in. Most of the bed is filled with sweet candle, and then towards the other end here we've got the free trial packet of Cazo. You can see that they're just starting to germinate here, so we'll let them get a little bit bigger and then we'll thin them out. This is some red fire broccoli. It's come really well for us this year. We've had the centre heads off quite a few weeks ago now, but as you can see it's thrown out lots and lots of shoots, so we'll be having those with our roast chicken later.
Just watering in the last of the potatoes that we've put out today.
Once Mum's finished watering, we cover with the polythene. The early potatoes that we sowed a couple of weeks ago are now just starting to poke their heads. As you can see here, they are a bit slow coming through this year, but hopefully they'll catch up